And we begin with breaking news tonight. Police are searching for a driver that hit a 3-year-old child in Fairdale. Thanks for joining us here at 11. I'm Connie Leonard. Doug has the night off. Well, video from neighbors sent to us from the Regency Park Apartments shows the moment the child runs into the complex parking lot and is then hit by this Ford F-150. Of course, we stopped the video before that happens. LMPD says the child was taken to Norton Children's Hospital and is expected to survive. We are told the suspect fled the scene toward Fairdale High School. Anyone with information about the driver or that vehicle is encouraged to call LMPD at the anonymous tip line. That number, 574 LMPD. Well, it was a wild scene on Zorn Avenue today as police say a driver goes rogue, first hitting cars with his Jeep, then hitting a teenager before crashing on the VA hospital property. The WHAS11 night team's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Emma Gefter went back to the neighborhood tonight and show us the video from a witness as that scene was unfolding.
Oh my God, he's gonna hit him again.
A witness captures a road rampage near the VA hospital.
He's running.
This white Jeep Wrangler gets into multiple accidents on both Interstate 71 and Zorn Avenue Thursday morning, driving erratically.
Oh. That's so crazy. They're going down a one-way.
People who live in the area are used to the heavy traffic, but nothing like this.
Driving over this median and just flying off the road and everything, and it was crazy. It was wild.
LMPD says the driver of the Jeep is James Wells. He faces charges of wanton endangerment, assault, leaving the scene of an accident, and failure to render aid. According to police, Wells hit a trailer on the off-ramp and then ran over the driver, a teenage boy who was out inspecting the damage.
Yeah, we'll need EMS for one male. Definitely got some bad leg injuries.
Witnesses told police Wells got out of his car and hit other cars with a sledgehammer. He was eventually arrested after crashing into the VA hospital. As authorities tow away the vehicle, WHAS11's Jessica Farley captured spray paint on the side and a tag for a retired veteran. According to LMPD, witnesses believe Wells may have been suffering from a mental health incident.
I mean, being behind like a car, it's a dangerous thing. Like if you're not in the mental space to operate it, something like bad could happen.
A scary and destructive morning for Louisville drivers, but the teenage driver is expected to survive his injuries. In the Brownsboro Zorn neighborhood, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 night team on your side.
And Wells is currently in Metro Corrections and is expected to appear before a judge tomorrow morning. Authorities say he will also face federal charges. Well, a former LMPD officer was taken into custody earlier this evening after a short manhunt earlier today. Roberto Cedino has been charged with violating a protective order and stalking. LMPD was notified about the complaint against the then officer back in March and started a public integrity unit investigation. The department says Chief Paul Humphrey began the termination process, but Cedino resigned before it was complete. Cedino was indicted yesterday on charges on the lawful access to a computer, stalking, harassment, and more. Cedino was taken into custody around 4:30 this afternoon. At least 2 people have been killed and 6 others injured after a shooter opened fire at Florida State University in Tallahassee. The suspect, now identified as the son of a sheriff's deputy. Authorities saying he used one of the deputy's personal weapons to carry out the shooting. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest on the investigation.
Panic and chaos at Florida State University's Tallahassee campus.
We were all just scared to death.
Students with their hands in the air and armed officers clearing classrooms one by one after police say a gunman opened fire just before noon at the busy Student Union building.
Listen up real quick. We are trying to get all of you out of here in a timely manner. It is going to be a minute because there's a lot of you.
A music professor posting this image of the piano she used to barricade the door to her classroom.
It didn't feel real the entire time, and then it felt very real when I looked and saw an officer with an assault rifle, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening.
You can see the wounded alleged shooter being shackled inside an ambulance. Authorities say he's a student and the son of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy.
The shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eckner. Deputy Eigner has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene.
Multiple law enforcement sources confirming this social media photo of Eichner. Meanwhile, the injured rushed to area hospitals.
One, the law enforcement had took that person out on a stretcher and laid them in the street until EMS showed up. There was one person across the way that seemed to get escorted in an office chair with wheels, and they got wheeled down to the street. Classes canceled through Friday, and athletic events also called off through the weekend. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
A Louisville man has been arrested in connection with the death of a southern Indiana woman. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office in Indiana says they were called to a home on Hickory Drive in Hanover for a welfare check Monday. When officers arrived, they found 35-year-old Wilma Robertson dead inside that home. Sean Bailey has now been charged in connection with her death. Bailey was arrested in Louisville on Tuesday and is currently lodged in LMDC awaiting extradition. And a juvenile is now facing charges after two other juveniles were shot earlier this month. LMPD arrested the juvenile and charged him in connection with the shooting that happened on West Chestnut Street. According to court documents, he was captured on video firing multiple rounds and hitting at least one of the victims in the foot. He was also confirmed to be at the location of the incident thanks to an ankle monitor. The juvenile is charged with 2 counts of assault, and LMPD says the investigation is ongoing, with more arrests expected. Another former Southern Indiana sheriff with connections to Jamie Knoll has now been arrested for tax evasion. Former Scott County Sheriff Kenneth Eubanks was taken into custody today and quickly released on bond. Indiana State Police flagged Eubanks' financials during its investigation into Knoll. Eubanks is accused of failing to report income for 3 years straight. State police say the money came from a bank account belonging to Eubanks' godmother with dementia. The court filings also say Eubanks failed to pay sales tax when buying antique vehicles and furniture at auctions, and that he and his companies were paid over $280,000 out of the Clark County Jail Commissary Fund. Kenneth Eubanks is out on bail now. His initial hearing for this case is Tuesday at 1:30. New tonight, Kentucky Auditor Allison Ball has launched an investigation into the state's medical cannabis program. Ball said her office continues to receive complaints about how the Office of Medical Cannabis administered the lottery process for awarding business licenses. For months, WHAS11 has heard complaints about business owners stacking applications to create an edge to get one of the coveted licenses. Last month, one of the winning license holders in Louisville admitted to WHAS11 that they had created multiple businesses to increase their odds of getting a license. Well, Governor Andy Beshear has continued to defend the process, doubling down today and calling the rollout a success.
Because of the way we set up our process, because of the way we did our lottery, we're moving faster than just about any other state. We're one of the only states that hasn't had the courts enjoin or enter an order stopping the ramp up of all of those businesses.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear also told us in a statement on the audit the individuals who have come forward to express concerns went through the full process and did not complain until after being selected in the lottery. Changes are coming to U of L's campus to comply with Kentucky's new anti-DEI law set to go into effect at the end of June. In a campus-wide email, new president Jerry Bradley announced the school has formed 4 work groups to ensure they're following state and federal anti-DEI orders in admissions, financial aid, scholarships, and athletics. It has some students on campus worried that the school will not be changed for the better.
It's like scary to think about, like, oh, the centers are probably going to go away, the LGBTQ center, the women's center, just like thinking like what's going to happen and how are students going to still feel safe.
Meanwhile, it's decision time for Kentucky's K-12 school districts too. They have until tomorrow to sign a letter from the U.S. Department of Education acknowledging that DEI programs violate federal anti-discrimination law. If they don't, they risk losing federal funding. The Kentucky Department of Education has already signed the letter and submitted it, but they said they will not urge the feds to take any kind of enforcement action if districts don't sign. The Clark County Jail is now a designated ICE detention facility. Sheriff Scotty Maples says they were directly asked by ICE to assist. Maples says the county gets paid for holding the federal inmates charged in immigration-related crimes. The county jail is under a contract with U.S. Marshals that allows this kind of agreement to happen. The sheriff's office says they have 46 inmates they are holding for ICE right now.